right. Just like any bully, right? The only way it works is if they impose their way of thinking on everyone else, right? They will set up the narrative, they will paint the scene, and if you don't fit into that scene, even as highly insane as it is, they will figure out a way to gaslight you and corrupt you into thinking that you're the problem here, right? Now, I've already covered the fact that Sweet Baby Inc., which is just blowing up everywhere, it's having the absolute best Streisand effect ever. It just continues to grow and grow. God bless Brazil. I've been saying this for a long time when it comes to things like Mugen and Mortal Kombat. Brazil has just been nailing it. And it would appear that our Lord and Saviors down there are coming through on a lot of different fronts, but I can't talk about other stuff. But I can talk about Sweet Baby Inc. stuff, right? And this was shared by Games Nosh over on X. The co-founder of Sweet Baby Inc., Kim Blair, proudly explains the method she uses to force bosses at game studios to censor, alter, and diversify game projects she feels are problematic. Terrify them, aka threaten them with the anger of the cancel culture mob. This is just like standard bullying procedure, right? What does a bully do? They attack you. They harass you. They do something to you, right? That makes you feel uncomfortable or worse. And then they threaten you with, well, you know, if you decide to speak out on this, then, well, I'll make it worse for you. And you'll never know when it's going to happen, right? That's what they're doing here with cancel culture. They're threatening them with essentially, and it's a quasi boogeyman because it kind of does exist, right? And that's because anyone that believes in that sort of thing or behaves in that certain way is just, they're terrible people to be around, right? So if we go back, like through the video, she starts off saying, bringing in marginalized collaborators at the beginning and ask them how to make it great rather than less bad, right? This is the problem, right? Is that they'll do this with like any franchise. Even if it's even if it was like based on something like a completely white culture part of the world or history, they will still do this, right? Because they are trying to rewrite history. They've been doing this for a really long time. I don't understand why, like, you know, people have not noticed this, but usually people only notice things until it gets to their doorstep. Then things will change. Then suddenly they'll wake up, right? But you don't want to be like all the people that Noah warned about, right? That Noah warned about the earth was going to flood, right? You don't want to be one of those people who says, no, it's not. Don't worry about it, bro. You're just crazy. Just go build your stupid dinghy and leave me alone, right? How'd that work out again? That's right. You don't want to be one of those people, okay? You don't want to wait until it's too late, right? And so, and then she brings in AAA, for AAA, build connections with marketing to express the value of inclusion. Again, this is like, it's all very anti-normal, right? And it's highly racist stuff, right? I have no doubt some of my favorite people out there are actually racist against me, right? Not that I give a shit, because I think it's just funny, right? But it's pretty obvious, I think, by now with certain individuals that their intentions and their motives are quite clear. Very clear, right? It seems to this average-looking man in another country on the internet. I don't know if that works that way, but whatever. Seems to be a topic of interest still. It's very funny and sad, actually, considering that well, these bullies and agitators are apparently far better than me. Just like the way that Sweet Baby Inc. conducts themselves. They have ground themselves to be the only arbiters of truth and the way that things that should be done. And if you don't agree with that, as I said, as insane as it is, you actually get gaslit and conned into thinking you're the bad guy when you're actually not, right? This is how evil works. This is how people with bad faith actually do things. They try and twist things around to paint a different picture or lay the foundation so that if you don't fit the worldview, then you're the issue, not the other way around. And that's why they use marginalized groups, because they know that they can use them as weapons and then cudgels in the West, not anywhere else. Nowhere else buys this shit, right? They try it, but it doesn't work, especially in places like Japan and China, right? Again, you don't see these people going over there, you know, en masse to try and convert stuff over there, right? They tried a little bit. We've seen some of that stuff come through with Square Enix. I do have an article I'm going to be covering about Namco, but ultimately Japan is very homogenous in their way of thinking. We don't want the generous shit, get out, right? 100% support it, okay? 100% support it. You don't take the immoral and the tiny subset of something that is abnormal and create it to make it be normal, and then take the normal and then vilify it and say, no, you're the bad guy. They're only this way because of your existence. That is really terrible, right? So this is, you know, this is obviously, you know, being shared, not just this, but everything else that's come out about Sweet Baby Inc. They are now, I think one of them was crying foul about this, right? Oliver GR says, no idea why any game devs would want to consult with such sharks. Oh, I know. Now, somebody might have to dig a little deep for me, because I remember reading this about 1.5 years ago. It involves one of your favorite presidents, Obama. That's a joke, by the way. Apparently what happened is, and again, somebody might be able to clarify this, but this makes a lot of sense. We do know there's tax breaks. We do know that there's benefits financially if you tick all these boxes. At the utter destruction of whatever they're putting out there, they're willing to forgo that quality and become the bad guy for money. Greed, one of those sins, right? It's terrible. Now, when Obama was in power, apparently he snuck in this thing for businesses, right? So basically the way it worked was that a business could not conduct itself in a way that would put its shareholders and its workers at risk of losing their job, meaning that they couldn't just go like, you know, one night just spend all their money on like, you know, like every single cent of their like in their company on like an OnlyFans model or something ridiculous like that, right? They couldn't undermine their company for any reason. There was particular things that they had to make sure of, that there were safeguards. Was it like the things like 401k, that sort of thing? They couldn't compromise their full-time workers' positions, you know, or whatever, and or the shareholders, right? Now what happened was that when Obama brought this thing in, again, if somebody can look it up, please let me know. What happened was that it said, listen, as long as you tick these boxes, you can do whatever you want with the money. You can do whatever you want with the company. You don't have to worry about whether or not, you know, little Timmy over there that's been working for 20 years for the company is going to have a proper, you know, retirement package. Don't worry about that, bro. You do whatever you want to do. You just tick this box. You get some of thems over there, right? You get some of these, you know, minority groups over here. Yep, get them in, right? You do whatever you want. You don't have to bother legally anymore about making sure that your workers are taken care of. Now, again, if somebody knows more about that or can add some more context, please put it below. But ultimately, what we do know is that when you look at the amount of destruction that's happening with gaming, movies and TV shows, and just society in general, the attack on Christianity but nothing else, the attack on family, the attack on man, right? And then ultimately, while women think that they're winning, they're actually being the worst off out of everyone. And they don't even realize it half, which is crazy, right? And it's all comes down to money. Because it's a massive motivator. Boy, oh boy, does the devil love his motivations, right? So, again, if somebody knows more or can get an article or whatnot about the Obama thing, let me know. But that's also when you think about when he was in office and then all of this sort of stuff came around. They started, you know, that Quitifa, I'm not calling them by the brand name, you know what I'm talking about, Quitifa, right? They just suddenly popped up, right? All of these racial issues started happening under his presidency, okay? And then if you look around the world in the Western countries, we have started to adopt or create our own in mimicry of that because, again, a feared people is an easily controlled people, right? And people are afraid of everything from their health to being a victim of something to being, you know, accused of something that isn't true. And then because they have also got their cancel culture army, they then back it up. So then you get the stories of like, oh, don't say this online. Look at Johnny over there. He got cancelled. He got cancelled for that shit. Like, don't even risk it. That creates fear. That creates a precedent. And then more and more people get afraid. Because then they're like, well, I can't lose my job just because I have an opinion. I'll just keep it to myself, right? And that's not how it's supposed to work. We are allowed to share our opinion, regardless of whether people agree with it or not. Short of inciting violence, we're allowed to share our opinion on stuff and talk about things because it's better to shine a light on it than not, right? And so that is exactly the reason why this stuff has been going on for so long, because these companies fear not making money. So they do the quick sale. Oh, we'll tick these boxes. We'll get our quick sale, right? We can do whatever we want. We don't need to worry about, you know, making sure that our workers are covered or anything like that. They can literally do whatever the hell they want. James MK comes in. Sounds like I'm assuming that sounds like a toss. Destroying the game development one day at a time. And just terrify them. They're so confident and pronounced when they put forward these ideas against game companies, but when the tables are turned, they plead the victim card whilst trying to act it as harassment. Oh yeah, I've noticed that even with some of the confrontations I've had with people. As soon as you call them out on their shit, oh, they get real defensive. They don't like that at all. Because they see the online cancel culture mob and the harassment they indulge in as genuinely virtuous and making the world a better place. It's actually not. It's actually making the world a worse place because you're propping up the abnormal and the immoral as the standard against everything else. And that's the reason why things are crumbling. And I think things will continue to crumble. Right? It's good that this sort of stuff gets exposed, but don't take your boot off the neck, right? Just keep the pressure on, because as soon as you let them up, right? It's like a snake, right? You pin a snake down with your boot, right, up near the head, okay? So that way it won't like turn around and try and bite you, yeah? And then as soon as you lift it up just a little bit, because you think, oh, okay, he's all passive, maybe he's asleep. Pow! Getcha. That's how it works. Never let up. Right? Always keep calling this out. Don't be afraid, because there are more and more voices every day that are speaking up and calling this out. People are tired of it. People are sick and tired of it. Don't let anyone gaslight you, tell you different. Right? And there is always that wonderful prayer that I have every day that all of these weirdo rejects will go back to Tumblr and leave society alone. Right? And of course, another reason why is that when you have developers being replaced with activists, that is a massive issue as well. Or they do self-inserts with people on the team, right? Because, oh, they're part of a certain persuasion, so, you know, oh, this will make them feel good. No, it won't make them feel good, it won't do shit, right? This is all just blatant bullying. That's all it is, right? Please, Jesus, come back to me. So this is why AAA games are better than indie games. Clown face, yeah, I know. Right. So the co-founder openly admits that she threatens game developers and executives to get what she wants. Again, like I said, they're not saying the part that matters the most, money. Right? This is not about actual inclusion, right? Because all of the stuff that they have touched with this crap has failed. It is catastrophically failed. Anyone that legitimately thinks that Mortal Kombat sold 3 million copies needs to book an appointment with a psychiatrist, right? There's no way. There's just no way, right? We've already had this conversation before. 3 million copies. Half of that could have been to the store. They may still be sitting at the store and not even in someone's hands, right? That's why I say I don't believe them. Well, look at the way Warner Brothers conducts themselves. And again, it all comes down to money. That's just what they're not admitting yet. It all comes down to money, because these companies, when they tick boxes, can get tax breaks and bonuses, and therefore they can do whatever they want with their company and whatever they want with their money. Why do you think there's been so many problems with crunch time and the abuse of actual legitimate developers and stuff over the years, right? And that fucking bitch Anita Sarkeesian, right, just absolutely just destroyed everything. She was like one of the key architects with all of this sort of stuff, because this is what they do. These chicks that even one of their, like, you know, mechanized toys would say no to, can't handle the idea that people might find women attractive, right? And so they will destroy even their own sex, you know, women of their own sex, to just push across their ridiculous, narcissistic worldview and destroy everything that matters, right? There you go. Narcissism is problematic in any industry. Parasite, right? Here we go. We'll leave it with this one. We're just a consulting firm. The companies come to us. We don't try to force anything on them. Extra doubt. Yeah, that's correct. Because what do you think's going to happen? Oh, we approached Netherrealm, and they refused to make their game more inclusive. Then a week later, they accidentally let something like that slip out from one of their employees. Oh, Netherrealm decided to not make their game inclusive and sensitive for the people out there that still find clapping really annoying. They sit there and they need, like, you know, jazz hands or whatever the crap it is, right? It's so sensitive. Actually, I'll leave with this one, right? Isn't this just bullying with extra steps? That's true. The name may change, but bullies by and large remain the same, and they wonder why we hate them. Yes. Why do you think I've been calling out certain people for a long time? And look at their behavior. They continue to behave in the very manner that I've been calling them out on. Right? Right? Pretty much. Pretty much. Right? So anyway, guys, I'll leave it there. Let me know what you think. I think this is great news, actually, even though it's difficult for some to see Mortal Kombat in the way it is. I know some people out there will defend it to a dying breath, and you are part of the problem. I'm not going to sugarcoat that shit. You are part of the problem. Right? Get your house in order. Because I tell you what, things are going to just get worse and worse and worse. Like, people, there is so much denial, right? When it comes to this sort of stuff, you got to call it out. You have got to call it out. You've got to expose it for what it is. You know, it'd just be nice if some of the other creators in the community that you know, threatened by my wondrous opinions. You ever notice they don't talk about it? Isn't that interesting? Anyway, catch you next time.